the thing that attracted me about it originally was literally like the first page, because it was this idea that there's a psychological virus causes this apocalypse. You know, we've all seen movies about biological viruses being released and causing mayhem and stuff like this. But there was this premise in it, this slightly projected premise, this sci-fi idea, that it's a psychological virus. Now, nobody knows if they exist or not, psychological viruses. We don't know yet. They may do, they may not. But the idea, and that it was linked to rage or this social intolerance that is everywhere now, appears to be everywhere, certainly in this country, certainly in Britain. And that somehow that this might escape and run rampant across the country and create these monsters that just kill people, and that the monsters are us, really, in a way, that there's not something that we can blame on something else like aliens or something terrible mutation of biology. This is actually something that comes out of what we're like. The film begins with this guy. He wakes up in the hospital. He's naked in an intensive care unit, and there's nobody in the room with him. And the key has been left. He's been locked in the room, but the key has been slid under the door and left for him. So he can open and go out into the rest of the hospital. He goes out into the rest of the hospital. There's nobody there either. He walks, it's a central London hospital. It's St Thomas's, just over Westminster Bridge. He walks over Westminster Bridge towards the Houses of Parliament. There's nobody. And no matter how much he shouts or calls, there's nothing, just silence. I think the premise that we could be eviscerated by ourselves, really, is an absolutely plausible one. I mean, it's whether it would be through a psychological virus caused rage, I don't know. But one of the reasons that the film works, I think, is that people do connect with it to a kind of malaise they feel about life at the moment, and certainly a kind of threat amongst ourselves as human beings of what we're doing to each other. That's something that people clearly connect with. For the two young leads, if you like, Jim and Selena, we wanted people that weren't really known. We didn't really want stars to be in it, so we kept the budget down so that we wouldn't have to have a movie star in the parts, because we felt that they should be Mr. and Mrs. Anybody, really, that they should be just people off the streets that you didn't have any previous relationship or history with. So we found this guy, Jim. We found Cillian Murphy, this Irish actor, and this girl, Naomi Harris, to play Selena. And it's easy to find inexperienced actors who haven't got much track record, but of course the danger is that they won't be able to carry the film. And they've done a wonderful job, because they've been able to actually, you experience and you'll get carried through the whole film by these two. Everybody loves the London stuff, and it's certainly been a great calling card for us for the film, as a premise for the film to show very quickly, for instance, on TV adverts and stuff like that. You just show a snippet of it, and people are fascinated by it, because everybody knows that London is an impossible city to live in, let alone to empty, you know. But basically what we did is we did it very, very simply. We turned up very, very early in the morning, and we had a lot of cameras, digital cameras, because we were able to use a lot of them, so that we could capture enough material in 2 minutes of the traffic being held back to create a sequence so that you would feel like the camera's moving around town with him. So there were 3 or 4 shots, and the editor could spin them out so that they felt like it was a protracted space he was walking over. In fact, it's only like 2 minutes, 90 seconds that the traffic will be held for. Because even at that time of the morning, and even with a lot of traffic marshals, who were usually very pretty girls that we sent out to ask motorists to wait, please, even then you only get 2 minutes of tolerance from people before they go, oh no, I've got to go to work, you know, and they go back into the rage, really, which we all exist in cities. And that's how we did it. Any film that you've got a monster in, you've got to make it work. It's got to be individual, it's got to be, you know, it's got to be different, individual, and it's got to scare people. There's no two ways about it. There's no point making a film that has some monsters in it that are not scary. And you know how to make people jump in the cinema and things like that, but actually you've got to create this monster that's actually, the very presence of it makes you frightened, really. And you put a lot of effort into that, to making that work. There's a development of that, which is that by the end of the film you want to, ideally, feel a relationship with the monster as well. I mean, everybody loves the stuff walking around London. That's everybody loves all that stuff. But I love the stuff in the house, because I wanted the last 20 minutes of the film to be a real climax. And just for a filmmaker, it's a real kind of you've really got to kind of drive the audience through this last 20 minutes of the film and the climax in the house. And I'm very proud of that. There's a lot of work went into that, you know, and a lot of commitment to actually making it a real cinematic experience, you know, for the audience, you know. So yeah, I'm very proud of that. It's not a kind of feel-good movie by any means, although there is a bit of optimism at the end. There is a little bit of hope at the end, but it's a gripper. You know, if you get caught in the headlight of it, if you buy into it, then you just stay there frozen for 90 minutes, and then you manage to slip away at the end, and you're okay. So it's kind of exhilarating and exhausting. I hope, you know.